Hello friends, and welcome to the Hanged Man in the Moon. If this is your first time here, welcome. Thank you for coming. I'm pleased to meet you. If you've been here before, thank you for returning. I'm truly honored. Friends, if you are a returning visitor, you probably know that this is my brand new deep dive series in which I am exploring a new deck to me, but a very old deck called the Egyptian Tarot by C.C. Zane. And the deck that I am using, and the reason I got it was it, at least to my knowledge, the version I have was published when I was born in 1964. And so I got the deck, and now I've finally come around to diving into it. And if you want to see the introduction of how I got to this place and why I'm doing this series, I'll put a card up here for you to hop over so you can check that out. I'm not going to go into much detail, but let me just give you a brief overview of what I'm doing. Every day, I'm going to pull one card from the color version of the Egyptian Tarot. I'm using the color version because it's a new deck, it's mass market, it's readily available. I can replace it if I need to. So I shuffle that deck and I pull a card from the newer color version. And then I pull the matching card from my older charcoal gray and white version of the Egyptian Tarot. And then I place them side by side. And then to help me unpack that reading for those cards, because this is a brand new system to me. It's neither Rider-Waite-Smith and it is not Continental Tarot. It's in and of itself a different system. So I use 3 cards from the Tarot of the Holy Light because I've started to become a little bit more comfortable with that. I pull 3 cards and then I live my day, and then now I record the video. That's what I'm doing. So here we go. The cards that I pulled for today were the card I pulled for today. I'm saying cards because I've got 2 versions of them. Well, let me show you the cards right now. So you saw them, right? They were the Emperor. The Emperor. And here they are in both color and charcoal gray and white for your perusal again. And you'll see that these 2 cards are much more similar to each other than the King of Swords was from yesterday. This is day 2, right? Yesterday I pulled the King of Swords, and the constellation above the King of Swords looked a little bit different between the black and white and the color. Here they both look pretty much the same. And the image is pretty much the same, but it's easier to see in the color, right? Which is another reason why I'm using the color version as well as my beloved charcoal gray and white deck from around when I was born. And so the Emperor. You'll also notice that, or perhaps you already noticed that instead of Aries, in this system, the Emperor is Scorpio, which is interesting, especially for me, because my ascending sign is Scorpio. I'm Leo sun, but my rising sign is Scorpio. And my grandmother was a Scorpio sun. So whenever I think of Scorpio, and the reason why I am happy to have Scorpio as my rising sign is because of my grandmother. I think of her and her spirituality and she was also very harsh. And those qualities that I think of when I think of my grandmother, I pretty much associate with Scorpio, and they match up pretty well. So what do we have in this Emperor card? Now this Emperor card points to Scorpio, right? From which we get fixed water, yeah? And my ascension is from the first decan of Scorpio, which I consider to be Super Scorpio. Yeah, it's a fixed aspect of the fixed sign of water. Now the first decan of Scorpio is a fixed decan, so it's fixed in fixed of water. And the energies that it pour out from that part of the sky in this card are things like realization, yeah, the thought that becomes realized in the world, which is partly why we get the idea of the emperor for this, right? The emperor is a thought creating a thing, perhaps, is one way to think about it. The conquest. Yeah? Scorpios like to go out and win stuff. Conquest, to conquer. Occult studies is part of the Scorpio milieu, as well as creative energy. Now, Scorpios have a lot of creativity in them from the fixed wateriness of them. That water and fire, I consider fixedness to be kind of fiery, although it's probably earthy. But because I'm a Leo, fixed fire. So, but the fixedness of water is a creative conjunction, right? Water likes to flow, fixedness likes to be solid. The combination of the two is creative. It's creative, and it's also can be creative in the sexual sense as well. Yeah, Scorpio has has directed sex drive. That sex drive can be directed into creativity, like artistic creativity, but it can also be directed into plain old banging together of parts, right? Now, Zane has a really interesting thing that he writes in about Scorpio, which I'm going to read for you. He says, it is the realization from effort. Now, realization from effort. And it is life springing into manifestation as the result of this union of polar opposites. Like thoughts and things merged together becomes a manifestation. Yeah, which kind of matches what we often think of when we think of the emperor, but it's different. Usually when we think of the emperor from like a Golden Dawn system, we think of Aries and that fiery, go out and get it and do and dominate. This is a watery kind of doing things and creating things. And Scorpio is, for me, it's like a crystallization of the water under pressure. Scorpio has a lot of pressure on it. And that pressure crystallizes the water into something both hard, but also like a lens. We can see clearly through it. So Scorpio people have a never-failing, have a never-failing fund of ideas and resources, yeah, and an abundant, life-giving magnetism. Scorpios, at their best, can draw people to them, but they can also scare people away. Yeah? Scorpio people, they're proud, they're sensitive, they can be reserved. We can be reserved, we can be jealous, but we can be energetic. We're ingenious, we're resourceful, we can get stuff done. Yeah? We're strong and determined, that fixed energy of the fixed sign. And the key phrase for Scorpio is I desire. I desire, and so I manifest. Emperor makes perfect sense, right? Now, when we look at this particular card, we can see that the Emperor is sitting on a cubic stone of matter. So it's the perfected solid, the perfected manifestation of stuffness. And it signifies labor, which has reached completion. Now we've accomplished stuff here. But did you also see the cat inside? Now the cats, for the Egyptians, they're an animal of spirituality and mystery and mystique. So we can see through the solid into the spirit that lies within. Because within all matter there is the spiritual. The spirit. Spirit is manifesting here as solid, right? And a Scorpio can see the spirit within the solid stuff. So we have that vision, that soul-penetrating vision that can see through illusions, which can sometimes get Scorpios into trouble when we start talking about what we see through when we look through the illusions. He's also he has the scepter of Isis there too, right? Which is shows that he has knowledge of the spiritual realm and can use that as a creative tool. Yeah? He points at what he wants with his left hand and indicates that he uses all of his energies to control, to make things happen in the physical realm. There's also a sacred serpent at the crown of the emperor, at his brow, which indicates his enlightenedness. Yeah, and a hawk is also there. Where's the hawk? There's also a hawk here, which I'm not able to see right now in this not so good light. But there's a hawk there, which which indicates that the Scorpio has ambition, right? The Scorpio has ambition to attain spiritual supremacy. Now, the hawk is able to fly up to the heavens and is ambitious, also has keen eyesight, right? Again, being able to see through the illusions into the truth of what lies within. His legs of the legs of the emperor are formed into a cross, which indicates the four realms of matter, fire, water, air, earth. And so the cross formed by his legs symbolizes that he's got the four elements under his control. He's mastered and he can create with them. He has the expansion of human power through understanding and through his desire, which makes good sense, right? And you can see, can you see this constellation of Scorpio above the emperor's head? So I like this image. This image, in some senses, I can see the constellation better here. Can't see the cat so well though, right? You can see the scepter. This is a beautiful card. These are beautiful versions of this card in this system. So we got all of that spirituality, that manifesting, creating, the desire, which can translate into creation. Yeah, the sexual power, which can manifest in sexuality, but also in creative acts and creative events and the manifestation again. So what did I get to help me unpack this emperor for me for today? Let me show you those three cards right now. You just saw the three cards were the Two of Swords upright, then we have the Two of Cups reversed, and the Ten of Cups reversed. So we've got, from the Tarot of the Holy Light, we've got one suit of mind, the swords, and then two suits of emotions and spirit, but both of them in reverse. Now, an interesting thing of those two twos together, right? Those two twos together, they're both, shows us that they're both cardinal signs for their suits. Yeah. So because they're twos, they're both cardinal signs for their suits, but they're also the fixed aspects of those cardinal signs. So we've got a fixed aspect of the cardinal sign of air. We've got a fixed aspect of the cardinal sign of water in those two twos, which is interesting. There's a lot of fixedness here. There's the fixedness of Scorpio, which was the card for the day, the Emperor. And we've got a lot of fixedness running through these two cards, which are helping me unpack that, right? That's interesting. I think it's interesting. So we had, again, let's start with the Two of Swords. The three cards, when I pull them, they are energy, challenge, not obstacle, but challenge, and then advice. So a typical three-card spread, but instead of obstacle, which is something that I'd have to fight against, challenge gives us the option of reading it as either something you have to fight against or something to live up to, something to accomplish. right? And I think the challenge for yesterday was something to live up to. The challenge for today seems to be something, a warning, something that could potentially be an obstacle. The challenge for today seems a bit of an obstacle to me, but let me show you what they were. You saw the Two of Swords. Let me show it you again. The Two of Swords is points to the Libra, right? But this is Saturn in Libra. So we're in the beginnings of fall. Saturn in Libra. Saturn is harsh, and Libra is a cardinal sign of air. But because it's the second decan, it's the fixed aspect of this air sign, this cardinal air sign. Yeah. So we've got Saturn here in Libra, which wants to be balanced, and Saturn wants to make borders, make definitions, cut things off, limit things, right? Now, interestingly, when we actually look at the card, what do we see? We see a light arm and a dark arm, one holding a sword pointing up, one holding the sword pointing down, reminding us of the two side pillars of the tree of life. Yeah, the pointing up, the father pillar, which is the pillar of mercy, and the one pointing down, which is the mother pillar of severity. And so what is the Two of Swords, Saturn and Libra, trying to tell us? Well, we've got the idea of potential individuality. Now, fighters for liberty and through action, leaders, progressivism, independence, independent thinking, not following the crowd, not trying to make everybody completely, not trying to satisfy everybody, finding what it could be the right way. It's the meeting of oppositional minds, but finding perhaps a third path so that we discern a new way of going about things. Self-discipline with forces that seem alien, which means that we're asked to have self-discipline when we've got these two forces that seem to be pulling us in opposite directions and don't really seem to be matching each other nor what we want to do. Because there is a path that is lying in the background here. Now, we've got the masculine, we've got the feminine, which could balance out, which could meet and join and create something new. That could be those two snakes in the center, right, of the Carduceus, coiling around this one object in the center, which could be that third, not yet to be revealed path. So in humility, we might want to make peace with the tension between the two to find the common ground, to find that new thing, to join the pieces together, to find the new. Without necessarily making the two fit together into something that is... So, for example, we've got red over here, we've got blue over here. One thing would be to choose red only and leave blue out. Another thing would be to choose blue and leave red out. Another thing would be to try and mash blue and red together and get this brown mess that is not what we want. Have you ever actually taken red and blue paint and mashed them together and discovered sometimes appealing color from the two when you were expecting this beautiful thing to evolve? But there's a third purple thing that is there in the center that we could choose. It's not a mashing them together, but a cooperation that evolves and reveals a third path. Does that make sense? So that's what this, I think, is telling us in this card. As we are unpacking the Emperor, as we are we're seeing through the physical to what lies within, as we are manifesting and creating from our resourcefulness, from our drive, from our desire, that we may encounter some opposing or tugging forces that will ask us to reconcile. And then we had the Two of Cups in reverse. Two of Cups. Two of Cups is Mars in Cancer. I'm sorry. Or Pluto in Cancer, depending on whether you include Pluto in your systems, because this is the fixed quality of Cancer, which is a cardinal sign. Now, so we've got the cardinal sign, but this is the second decan, which is the fixed quality of that. And so what does that mean? We got these two things which have the potential to come together and create a new relationship, to pour their waters together to create something new. But here we've got the reverse of this. So we've got the energetic and emotional creativity of water, the sensual desires, which could be mediumship, spirituality, communication, revelation. It could be partnership and affinity and mutual understanding. Unions of alchemical opposites. Kind of like the Temperance card, where we've got the two vessels pouring into each other, right? And here we've got the two alchemical creatures. We've got a red creature and a blue creature biting each other's tail, creating a new Ouroboros. Instead of one snake biting its own tail, we've got the red one biting the blue one biting the red, creating a brand new kind of Ouroboros. A beautiful card. Fertility. This could be fertile increase as well. Unfortunate partnerships, new combinations. It could be the love card, right? But in reverse, we see that potential is, there's friction within that potential. Things are drifting apart, could have the potential to drift apart. Now that those alchemical opposites may be obstinate enough not to come together. They may be so uncomfortable together that they won't join, they won't combine, they won't find their mutual understanding. So it's not necessarily a fighting thing, but the challenge of it not coming together, which is what the challenge, I think, is for me today. That Two of Cups reversed is something to be careful of. And so the advice was the Ten of Cups, but also reversed. And the Ten of Cups, we see this beautiful, well, let me show it to you upright. We see this beautiful sun with an eye. We've got the ark in the water, Noah's Ark, not yet landed. Everybody's still tightly battened down in that ark. But they've got this rope to an anchor, which they've thrown up, and it is now has now caught the cross above. Right? This is a very intricate design, and it might be difficult for you to see, but there's a cross up here, and there's a rope going up to an anchor, which has caught that cross. And the eye in the sun is crying. They've had a hard time. Yeah, they've been, for example, 40 days in an ark with a bunch of smelling animals and I suppose they could have poured the poop overboard, but still, it's not a very clean environment to stay in for 40 days. Especially when you're not sure when you're going to get out. So what do we have here in this card? It's the three water signs is what the tens are the three signs for their suit. So we have the three water signs. We've got Cancer, we've got Scorpio, and Pisces. And I've got both Scorpio and Pisces in my chart. Well, my ascendant is Scorpio, my moon is Pisces. So those two are very strong in my chart. What is this telling us? What is this 10 energy telling us? Well, the 10 of Cups, all those three things, yeah, the Cancer, the protector, the one who wants to take care of family. Now, the Scorpio, the volatile creator, and then Pisces, now the spiritual swimmer, the assimilator and dreamer of unions. All of that together is potential, upright. But it's potential, yeah? It's this card is pregnant with promise, but not quite yet. Not really ready to be born. Preparation for rebirth of the light is there, but it's not born yet. And this cross is raised by Sophia. You can see I don't know if you can see, but there's a bird above the cross. Yeah, that bird, the dove of Sophia, is raising the cross. And we anchor ourselves to that cross. We anchor our soul to that cross in front of a rainbow of possibility. So we anchor ourselves to the suffering that we've gone through, knowing that Sophia is also creating this rainbow of possibility, which will be our reward, the next step, on our journey. So we're in front of this radiant sign of prima materia, of possibility. Personal happiness, extending the potential to extend our personal happiness to all those around us is there. It's like it's just a breath away, but we're not quite there yet. And because this is in reverse, we really aren't quite there yet. We're in that preparation state. Don't get too excited yet, is what I get from this card. Yeah, we've still got work to do. We've still got to prepare. And yes, that rainbow is there and it's ready for us when we're ready for it, but we're not there yet. We've got all this spiritual power of water with us, in us. We are that spiritual power, but we're right now we're still in the potential. Not quite ready to open the door and let that rainbow light shine in. So why? What is this? How have these cards revealed themselves for me today? Well, it's been an interesting day. Today is the first day for students to be checking their grades at our school, and I got a couple of messages. Not a big problem. Nobody really battling or anything, just inquiries about grades. That's fine. I can handle those things easily because I've got my ducks in a line. I've got my information all nicely ordered. But I think what these cards were really pointing to for me, especially today, were a conversation that I had with the beautiful Christine Payne-Towler, the creator of this deck, the Tarot of the Holy Light. And Christine, through a couple of text messages on my previous video and then in Messenger, and it wasn't a long conversation, it was just a couple of things that she pointed out to me as potentials and things to remember, and I asked a couple of questions and she confirmed what I was thinking. And so then I realized what I need to do is I need to make a chart. I needed to make a chart, and I've begun the chart. Make a chart of, especially for the small cards, for the minors 1 through 10 of the suits, what their astrological associations, so that I get the zodiac sign, I get the decans, I get the constellations from the tarot, from the Egyptian tarot, because in the Egyptian tarot, in the small cards, the minor arcana, 1 to 10, constellations for those decans, for those signs, are drawn. So, for example, the small card, I want to say small card, bear with me, you know what I mean, like the 2 of Cups or the 2 of Swords. Yeah. So for the Two of Cups, for example, well, for the card in the Egyptian Tarot, which is Mars in Cancer. Yeah, Mars in Cancer is the second decan of okay, so Mars in Cancer is the second decan of Cancer. I'm trying to make this understandable, and I think I'm making it less. think I'm making it more confusing. So all of the water suits, all the water card, all of the cups, which are water suits, they're separated into three groups. Yeah, one group is for three cards will be for Cancer, three cards will be for okay, where am I going? Three cards will be for Scorpio, three cards will be for Pisces, right? And those three cards are broken down into decans. So the three cards for Cancer, the first decan would be one card. The second decan would be another card. The third decan would be a third card. So the second decan of Cancer, which would be a specific card in the Egyptian Tarot, is Mars in Cancer. And Mars in Cancer is also associated with a constellation, the constellation of Hydra, according to C.C. Zane. So that Hydra constellation will be drawn on the card of Mars in Cancer for the Egyptian Tarot. Now that's not common for many other tarots, but it is for that. So I've got all in the chart that I'm creating, I'm going to have all of that. And I'm going to match up what, for example, Mars in Cancer is going to be in the Tarot of the Holy Light, and what Mars in Cancer is going to be in the Egyptian Tarot. And actually I've done that. I started that. I got the basic framework. It just needs to be filled in. And so I think that's what this great work that I just started today was indicated by this Emperor card and this one, the Two of Swords. Now, so we've got that Scorpio seeing through the material to the spiritual that lies within, the creative energy, and the drawing of systems together to create the third path, which is my chart, which is not going to be trying to mash them together and make all the Two of Cups, for example, mean the same thing. But it's going to be a chart that will help me to move between systems so that when I look at a card from another system, I can refer that card, if it has the zodiacal information on it, I can refer that card to my chart. Whether that card ends up being the Two of Cups, whether it's the Nine of Cups, whether it's the Ace of Cups, whatever. I can take that zodiacal information and I can layer that onto my reading of the card from that system, which is perhaps the third way. Does that make sense? So, and then the caution, right? The caution of things might not come together so easily. Things might not be so, let's see, we got this, yes, reversed. It might not be an easy coming together, an easy match, so be careful. Be careful. We want to do the alchemy, but it might not be an easy thing. And it's not really an easy thing, actually. It's going to take time and bringing pieces together. And I'm, like I said, just like this card told me, don't get too excited. You're not there yet. I'm not there yet. And but I see the potential. I see the rainbow. So that's what today has been about, I think. Does that make sense to you? So, Tarot of the Holy Light. I love this deck. I love these cards. I'm understanding this deck and the continental system that it is based on better. Not perfectly, but better. And it is helping me with, again, here it is, my charcoal card. helping me understand this even better, I think, though they are different. Different, yet equally intriguing and educational. And these two decks together are really causing me to stretch. Now, this is an exercise of new ways of understanding tarot for me, and hopefully I'm not as confusing as I'm afraid I'm being. Let me know in the comments below. Did you understand what I was trying to say? If you did, I would love to hear from you. Please let me know. If you didn't understand what I was trying to say, let me know, and I'll figure out a way to say it more concisely, in a way that's easier to understand. So comment below. I would really love to hear from you. I'd love to hear from you. What do you think of these decks? What do you think of the way I'm trying to dive into these with you? Love to hear from you. Hit the thumbs up button if you haven't yet, so that YouTube knows that you enjoyed this, got something from it, and other people might as well. It helps the channel. And subscribe if you haven't subscribed. And hit the alarm bell so you get notifications of when I upload videos. It'll be helpful. I'm going to try and do one a day. And I'm going to try and do an extra one this week. I've got a spread video that I want to do if I have time tomorrow. I'm not making any promises, but I've done the prep work for that today as well. That's another thing I did. Another creative thing that I started, but it's still in the potential stage. It's a spread that I got from the book that I'm using as a reference for the Tarot of the Holy Light, called How to Read Tarot Cards. There's an interesting Magic 7 spread that I want to show you. So I'm going to try and do that video, perhaps tomorrow. Wish me luck. So friends, that's it for today, day 2. And now, as always, I wish you love, joy, well-being, and pure awareness. Thank you.